Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today our guest is Tony, the co-founder and CEO at Prosperstack. Hello.
Hey, Christian, how are you doing today?
Very good. Excited to meet you. At first, for anybody that doesn't know, please tell us what is Prosperstack.
Sure, yeah. Prosperstack is an automated retention solution for subscription businesses. So we mainly work with high volume, low to moderate price point subscription businesses. So that tends to be like maybe sub $100 per user per month or per account per month. And we try to help them with acquisition and retention at every stage of the customer lifecycle. Right now, our primary offering focuses around active churn reduction. So really using cancellation flows that leverage user data to present subscribers with alternatives to cancellation. So that might be something like, a coupon, a different plan type, of subscription pause, and so on.
Yeah, this is really interesting. And I was wondering, what's the biggest problem that you solve for your clients?
Yeah, I mean, right off the gate, it's reducing churn and expanding LTV. We put, all the tools in the hands of those in an organization that own those metrics and allow them to, try to optimize their cancellation experience for retention. What our big value add is that we have really deep integrations with billing platforms that allow for like low code or no code integrations. So it really speeds up that implementation time.
Nice. What do you say are the most loved features of the platform?
Yeah, good question. I would say that the few that come to mind are going to be like A/B testing. We offer A/B testing of different offer types and cancellation flows themselves, and then also customer segmentation, so we can treat customers uniquely as they come through with the analytical data we have. And then I think the third one would be we do some language processing around feedback that we get, so we can really aggregate it out and surface really commonly used phrases and keywords and open-ended feedback that they get, so they can actually digest it and use it and make some real differences.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. And do you have a favorite customer success story? So not necessarily naming the company, but to tell us, let's say we improve their retention rate by 30% or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think, what's neat is across the board, our typical customer sees over 5x ROI, which is something that we take really good pride in. And with what we do, ROI is super clear and tangible, because if they didn't cancel, we know, are they still an active subscriber? How many times have we invoiced them? So I think that's really cool across the board. I think one neat story that comes to mind is we had a customer that came to us and they were really struggling on the feedback side. He had a whole bunch of theories about why customers were churning, but it just didn't have a lot of hard data around it. So what we did is we implemented Prosperstack, put the feedback and the surveys in place, and aside from retention, he was able to actually learn why their customers were churning, basically took that information to their board meeting, presented to their board, and totally revamped their pricing structure around the feedback that they got. And he came to me immediately after and said, hey, all this information was awesome and we wouldn't have been able to do it without you guys. So it was really cool just to have like that little side story with one of our customers.
Amazing. And typically, what types of companies use the Prosperstack?
Yeah. So really, there's a few different types of subscription businesses that we identify that we work with really well. Number one is SaaS. That's like kind of my bread and butter, where I came from, and that's what we are too. So we definitely appeal to a typical SaaS company. We also work with media companies. So think like online, digital, or even paper print subscribers and publishers. Newspaper industry, is a big subscription industry, and that's an industry that we're integrated with and working with actively. And then the third one is like direct to consumer box subscriptions. So there's a huge market for that, obviously. And, consumers are able to make kind of split second decisions. So if they were to go cancel, they can respond very favorably to alternatives to that.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. And how about the pricing? How does it work?
Sure. Yeah, pricing. So what we do is we price it based on sessions. And what a session is when somebody comes in and actually tries to cancel, they load the Prosperstack cancellation experience. And that's how we do it. So basically, it's a sliding scale between features and session volume. Basically, we have 3 plan levels. We have Grow, Prosper, and Enterprise. They're really designed to pick up features as you need them, as you grow, and then inevitably your churn grows. So that's kind of the pricing model.
And do you have a free version or a free trial?
We do. We actually are launching a freemium version very soon, so you can kind of stay tuned to that. But at the moment, we don't. Our pricing starts at $200 a month on the Grow plan.
Okay, thank you. And how competitive is your space, and how do you differentiate from the rest?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty competitive. It's definitely emerging, the active churn space. There's plenty of solutions in like kind of passive churn and dunning and just general broader customer success, but people are spending more and more attention and time and money on retention because it is just cheaper than acquiring new customers at this point in time. So there's definitely been some movement in our space. Brightback was purchased by a company called ChargeBee, who we work with. ProfitWell was purchased by Paddle. So some pretty big acquisitions out there that have happened. When we came into the market, our go-to-market differentiator was really the platform integrations. We took the approach that we were going to be integrating with the Stripes and the ChargeBees and the Recharges and Bolds of the world early on, and just have really low-code, no-code paths to start using Prosperstack. So I would say that implementation was probably improved by 50 to 100 times. We've had instances where we've had new clients up and running within 30 minutes, fully integrated into their billing stack.
Amazing. And your alternative would be more like Paddle or more like ProfitWell?
More like ProfitWell, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
In certain areas,
Nice. Okay. And I'd love to know the founding story of the company.
Yeah, so it's myself. I'm one of the co-founders. I have another co-founder, Graham. He and I actually worked together for about 10 years at a prior SaaS B2B startup.
What company?
It was called Cat Software. It was in the HR tech space. It was an applicant tracking system for like recruiting and staffing companies.
Okay.
But what kind of like our light bulb moment was, we acquired customers in I always call it like a very pure SaaS way. It was product led, free trial, put your credit card in, pay us. You don't have to talk to us if you don't want to. So that's awesome. That's really cool on the acquisition front, but it leaves a lot of information and question marks on the churn side, right? Yes. So we're there's got to be a way where, and a lot of other companies just like us, that we could just have a really great kind of cancellation flow and just present an alternative to cancellation. And then that's kind of where we, thought of the idea and then said, the Stripes and the ChargeBees and the Recharges and Bolds of the world are kind of the key to us unlocking this and making it really easy for other companies to jump on board too.
Great story. Makes total sense. So thank you for that. How big is the team right now, the overall team?
Yeah, we've got 12 employees right now. We do work with some contractors for various reasons and some agencies, but we have 12 full-time employees at the moment.
Have you raised any funding?
We have raised just a little over $2 million to date.
Mm-hmm. And are you looking to raise even more, or are you stable right now? Because I know the market is a bit...
we're stable right now.
Nice.
We have plans to, if they go to plan, we'll definitely look at a Series A. But right now, I think we're in a good spot.
Do you think you found product market fit, or not yet?
I think we're there on the verge of custom vet. Everyone's got a little bit of different, opinion of that. But
yes,
it's something I think if we're not already there, we're very, very close to it.
Okay, amazing. And how did you get your first customers?
Well, the for a way that we got them originally was just really old school. It was me just reaching out, emailing people, hitting the pavement, cold calling, cold emailing, that kind of fun stuff. Yes. We stumbled into a trick that worked really well for us. I wouldn't even call it a trick; it's just a strategy. And a lot of people are doing it now. But this would have been in 2020. We started using Loom in the early days and using some video and really showing in a different way, because everyone gets 100 emails a day and they're lost in the sea of text, and we just wanted to stand out in a different way. So we used a lot of Loom and video personalization to make ourselves stand out, and that's how we acquired the first probably 20 customers.
Okay, and you mentioned that the previous company, the best tactic was the PLG, but today, what's the best go-to-market strategy working for you to acquire new customers?
Yeah, we definitely are scaling, out of the founder-led, growth. We're really investing heavily into SEO and paid advertising. For us, LinkedIn and Meta have been our best paid ad performers and have worked out better than other channels. We focused a lot on partner marketplaces this year as well. So, not only all the integration partners we have, but looking at agencies that help with retention and churn consultation with bigger companies. They can kind of have us in their toolbox to bring us in where it makes sense. Definitely, I would say, outbound has changed a lot in the last 3 years. Email deliverabilities, harder than ever. Everyone's doing the same thing. There's so many tools out there. So you need to be much more personalized in your approach. So I think we've really doubled down on personalization as well. We try to use data like who's on our site, what roles that they might have, and approach them in channels where they don't have as much noise, right? So again, use video, use whatever tools you can to be personalized is what I would say is working.
Thank you for sharing. Is this your first startup?
This is my first startup. I was a very early employee at Cat Software, which is a previous company I worked at for over a decade.
Wow.
So I always felt a bit of ownership, there, but this is my first, as a founding role. Yeah.
How big is that company right now?
The previous company?
Yes.
They were sold back in 2020 as well, and they're part of a bigger company now with, I don't know, probably 50 to 100 employees, somewhere in there.
Okay, amazing. And I don't know, what was your biggest challenge since starting Prosperstack?
Ooh, I would say that's a tough one.
Yeah. Or the biggest mistake, biggest learning, let's say, if it's easier
Yeah,
for
okay,
you.
I can do that. Yeah, there's a plenty of mistakes. Trust me, along the
Yeah.
way, you learn from those. But I think we made a lot of assumptions about what our solution would look like early on, and we spent about a month building what that kind of MVP would look like. And basically, what we did is we became like a deferred survey. After the point of cancellation, so not during cancellation. And we started working with a handful of clients like that, and they were happy. But what we found out is that our response rate was like 2% or sub 2% on a good day. So we kind of had that moment where we were like, we really should have built this to be the actual cancellation experience itself. And I think we could have skipped that learning point by just doing a lot more customer interviews and doing that kind of stuff on the early on, which they tell you to do, but you're like, no, I've got to figure out, I know everything. Just talk to customers, talk to potential customers, get commits from people, say, if you build this, I will buy it. And I would say that's definitely something I would recommend.
And now I have a big question, but I have to ask it. What is the vision for the future of the company?
Yeah. So we want to stay true to our ICP. So that's going to be, again, those high volume, moderate price point subscription businesses and the different verticals that they're in. But we really see ourselves as an automated retention solution everywhere in the customer lifecycle. So that means getting into, things like customer acquisition and incentivizing them to convert. It could be like seasonal holiday sales. It could be, using those kind of things in your website to try to attract users. Getting into things like win back and reactivation of subscriptions that are canceled, because now you're armed with lots of data as to why they left. So we can really, in a very personalized way, reapproach customers to reacquire them, automated upsells, things like that. So we really want to be in every sort of area of the customer lifecycle. And I think long-term, that's going to be our vision, but staying true to that ICP that really needs automated solutions everywhere because of their price point.
Right. Okay, thank you so much. And now to the last part of the podcast. I'd love to know how you started your career. You already mentioned a bit of the story, but I'd love to know it full, let's say after college.
Yeah, so, my first job out of college, oddly enough, was at the SaaS startup we've been talking about. I think I knew right away I wanted to go into a smaller company because I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs, and especially specifically in the restaurant business.
Nice.
So I always like to be a part of something, have access to ownership. You just kind of not have, 5,000 people around me that I feel like I don't know anyone. So yes. I really, and then getting into tech, I was always interested in. So it was cool to get into a SaaS startup early because even, back in 2007 when I started there, SaaS was very early in the early stages still, really didn't take off for the next 5 to 10 years. And a lot is different how you do things now versus back then, that's for sure. I learned a lot there. I started kind of, at the bottom, if you will, like I did customer support to start. I went into product, into operations, then ultimately ended my time there as president. And what was cool about that is I saw the revenue go from just a couple thousand MRR when I started, all the way up into the millions. So it was a good ride.
And what was your last position at the company? I didn't get it. The president.
Yeah, I was president there, so I ran the operation for about 30 employees before the exit.
Okay, so you manage a whole team, so that was a good experience.
Great experience, yeah.
What would be your best piece of advice for somebody that's on the journey like you, from a big company, even if they worked their way up, but then starting from scratch?
Yeah, their own business. It's a big leap to go into your own startup, right? But I would say that when you're especially those early days, it can be pretty lonely at a startup. It's tough, right? You're kind of head down. You're doing lots of stuff by yourself. You're trying to figure out how to fit your product into a market that you're not sure is responding to it yet. So my number one advice would be, like, if you have any possibility to not do this, don't go at it alone. Try to have a co-founder, have someone there that can kind of share those difficult times and try to get you through there. And ideally someone that's going to complement your skill set, right? So someone that handles an area of the business that you're not as strong in. So whether it's like a business and tech type team or a marketing and product type team, whatever it might be, have someone that can kind of balance that out, because you can scale that a pretty long ways before you have to fill those those holes where that need might be. But I would definitely say, have a partner in the journey if at all possible.
Great piece of advice. Thank you. And right now you're only 2 co-founders.
Yes, 2 co-founders. Yeah.
So you are the sales and marketing, and the other guy is technical.
Yep, correct.
Okay, awesome. And because you're working so much with SaaS, usually I ask all the people on the podcast what's their favorite SaaS product. But because we work with only with SaaS companies, I want to ask for the top 3. So if you have the top 3 favorite software that you'd recommend to other people.
Yeah, I mean, the one that comes to head right away that I started using immediately because it does start free, but it was HubSpot. From a distance, I've always really admired their product from a usability standpoint, because they're really, a massive, massive company with a CRM that can do a million different things. But I've always thought they did a really good job of kind of staying true to that and being easy to use and friendly and approachable, in contrast to like what a Salesforce might look like, right? I think that's a little bit more of a different kind of beast. So I think that's really good. Other tools that we use, I'm a huge fan of Figma. I think that's really revolutionized the way that people have done design. We use it heavily internally. I'm not a designer, but I'm in there. I'm checking out designs and mock-ups and things like that. And it's just really easy to use from that standpoint. So even I can pick that up. Those are a couple that come to mind, I would say. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. That was my last question. Is there anything else that you want to mention today on the podcast before we close?
Obviously, thanks for having me on, Christian. It's been really great to chat with you and get to know you a little bit during this process. But I would just say, if you want to reach out, you can find us at prosperstack.com, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's just linkedin.com/Tony-Sternberg. You find me on there. But thanks again for having me on, and looking forward to hearing from some of you folks, hopefully.
Thank you so much for joining the podcast. You did great.
Yep.